Our next induction is in the veterans category. This category was added in 1997. There are 54 players honored as veterans in the Hall of Fame. To be honored as a veteran, you must have completed your playing career prior to 1980. Now, next year, 2020, that goes up to 1985 and continues every 5 years. In 2025, it goes up to 1990 and so forth. Those are the criteria for veterans. And that category was introduced to ensure that players overlooked for any reason had a second chance at Hall of Fame recognition. And that there's a number of reasons why players would be overlooked. Sometimes it's just the age of the selectors. Sometimes you get a year when, for whatever reason, there's 2 or 3 phenomenal lights-out players that are just automatics, and other players just kind of get shunted off to the back of the bus. And this category, which I think is an outstanding, was an outstanding move on the Hall's part, gives players a chance who do get overlooked, who have every right and certainly deserve to be Hall of Famers. It gives them that second chance for that recognition. Our sole inductee in the veterans category could easily merit several introductions. Is he a player or a builder? Is he an Eastern or a Western player? Mercifully, I've managed to boil his impressive resume of over 50 years of commitment to lacrosse into a single bio. He began his lacrosse journey in his hometown of Peterborough at the tender age of 5 and played minor ball there until moving to his new hometown of Brampton in 1961. He played his last 3 years of youth lacrosse in the Brampton minor system, winning a provincial bantam title in 1962, before graduating to the Excelsior's Junior A club in 1964. His 6-year tenure with the Junior A squad was highlighted by his performances in his final 2 years of junior competition. In 1968, he scored 45 goals and was named both his team's MVP and an OLA Junior League All-Star. And in 1969, his 76-goal, 104-point totals earned him another All-Star team berth and a call-up to the Peterborough Lakers for the National Lacrosse Association Championship. The Lakers were victorious, and he had his first pro title before leaving junior. He graduated from junior lacrosse after that memorable season, having amassed 259 goals and 109 assists for 368 points in only 96 games, an impressive average of 4 points per game. No shrinking violet, he also managed to pick up 524 penalty minutes over his junior career. I won't bother to give you the minutes per game, you can work that out on your own, but it's quite a few. He joined the Excelsior's major team in 1970 and had 2 excellent seasons, scoring 77 goals in 1971. But the team didn't compete at the major level in 1972. Not to worry. He played for the Excelsior's Senior B team in 72 and scored 64 goals in only 15 games to help lead his team to a President's Cup title. The Excelsiors were back in the major series in 1973, and he played what would be his final year of senior lacrosse in Ontario that season. In 1964, the Professional National Lacrosse League came calling, and he answered the call. He joined the Rochester Griffins and had another all-star season. He scored 78 goals and 116 points in the regular season and added another 17 goals and 32 points in the playoffs as the Griffins were crowned the inaugural NLL champions. The Griffins relocated to Long Island for the 1975 season, and the sea air obviously suited him. He tallied 93 goals and 62 assists for 155 points in leading the Tomahawks to the NLL regular season title. The NLL ceased operations after the 75 season, but over 2 years he had truly made his mark, having scored 312 points, including 192 goals in only 96 games, averages of 2 goals and over 3 points per game. He moved out west after the NLL disbanded, joining the New Westminster Salmon Bellies for his final 2 years of his playing career. 1976 was a memorable year for both him and the Bellies, as the team mounted a late-season charge to win the WLA title and traveled east to face, ironically enough, Brampton for the Mann Cup. The Bellies prevailed in an exciting 7-game series, and he had a Mann Cup title to go with his NLA, NLL, and President's Cup victories. He hung up his stick after the 1977 season, having played 228 games at the senior and pro levels and having tallied 428 goals and 225 assists for 653 points, an average of 3 per game. Now this is where Bio Part 2, Builder, kicks in. While still an active player in 1972, he began a coaching career that equals his impressive playing legacy by coaching the Brampton Junior A squad, a role he filled for 2 years. Upon moving to BC, the coaching bug really hit. In 1977, he led the New Westminster Intermediate team to a provincial and national titles, and in 1978 began a 5-year stint as bench boss of the Junior A Bellies that included a trip to the Minto Cup in 1980. He made the move to the WLA in 1983, becoming coach of the Vancouver Burrards, a position he held for 4 years, winning the WLA's Coach of the Year award in his first season. While with the Burrards, he also coached the national box team on an Australian tour, coached Team USA in the Can-Am series that led to the formation of the current NLL, and was a member of the CLA's coaching committee that introduced the coaching certification program that is still in use today. In 1988, he was back in the WLA with the Coquitlam Adanacs, who he coached for 11 seasons, guiding the A's to Mann Cup berths in both 1988 and 93. He's remained active in coaching until recently, leading teams at levels from minor to senior B, and also spent 5 years coaching field lacrosse in New Westminster. So there you have it, 2 bios for the price of 1. You can decide whether he's a player or a builder, but one thing we're sure of is that he's a Hall of Famer. Inducted into the Ontario Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 2011, tonight he enters the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, Dave Wilfong.
Okay, those who know me know I'm a sentimental guy, so when the tears start coming, just say, okay, it's time, Dave. So I do have a script. I hate scripts, but it's going to keep it down to, what was that, dear? 10 minutes? Okay. All right. What an honor. I stand before you see already. I just think of all the men and women in this room that have been a part of my lacrosse life in British Columbia. And I look back at the people in Ontario that took the time and the effort to take this little 5-year-old kid, give him a lacrosse stick and a lacrosse ball, and go behind the Civic Arena in the old dirt box and just play. Go have some fun. The chocolate milk after the summer lacrosse was kind of fun. Funny how little things like that you remember. But in my playing career, I've been very blessed in that there have been people that have surrounded me and coached, but most of all, I think, cared for me and loved me in a like a father-son kind of relationship. And I really appreciate that part. And I think in my latter years of when I was coaching, I started to realize that, especially in the last 10 to 15 years of it. The intermediates may not quite thought that back in the day, running the streets of New Westminster over to Surrey and back. Well, I just suggested that they run across the bridge and come back. And Joe Musial, my best friend, and I were standing there. You know, they should be back by now, 10 minutes. 20 minutes, 30, we were ready to get in the car and go search them out, and sure enough, they come running to Queen's Park Arena. But those young men, today, they're like sons to me. They're like brothers in lacrosse, if you might say. And I have a very warm heart. Terry Oim is one of them that is here tonight. I haven't seen any of the others, but yeah. Good memories. And back to script. Sorry. I just want to thank the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame members for allowing me to be inducted. It's a great honor. It's humbling. It's very humbling to think that a game that's given you so much, taken a lot away from personal life and other areas of responsibility, but it's given and given and given, that I could be a part of different teams. You know, we just heard about this team that's being inducted tonight. And there's a family sense, you know, of guys that you go to war with. Not that lacrosse is a game of war. I didn't say that. But you would, you know, sacrifice your body for your teammate. And that's one of the joys that I have as being a player for all those years. Oh, that one hurt. Ouch. All those years. When I look back at 5 years old in Peterborough, and Bobby Allen was my coach in at that time, tadpole. That's what they call us, tadpoles at 5 years old. So a coach like Bobby Allen who influenced me very much. And then at 1960, we moved to Brampton to my dad changed job positions, and we traveled there, and they set up house. And in that first year we were there, the people in Brampton Minor Lacrosse invited our family, because anybody who knew Dad, he could get a free meal anywhere, you know. So we went, and they sat us in this wind-up dinner for minor lacrosse in Peterborough. And I was very fortunate, very honored to be seated next to Joe Musial, my best friend for all these years. And we've had a kinship of brotherhood through lacrosse, which was a very big part of our journey in lacrosse, but as a friend. And I'm sure each of you tonight have people that you can point out that may be here, or maybe someone you haven't talked to in a long time, that it was a really good person that just, you know, you knew you could go to them. And they knew things about you that nobody should ever know about. But they're good friends, right, Joe? Thank you. My darling wife, Linda, is here for 8 years. And I thank you all for coming for our 8th anniversary dinner. And I love you. I'm sucking up because I forgot. Okay, moving right along. So Canadian Lacrosse Association, thank you very much for this committee that allowed me to have this prestigious honor. I thank Dean McLeod, wherever he is. Dean, can you stand up? Oh, I'm sorry, you are, but I can't see you. Anyway, the Brampton Excelsior Lacrosse Club, I was very proud and honored when Dean called me and said, Dave, you've been inducted under the Brampton colors, and in that conversation we had. And it's a group of men that when we moved to Brampton, and I got involved in junior lacrosse at a young age, that they took, we young guys, my brother Bram, who's a Hall of Famer, took us under their wing and nurtured us and mentored us and taught us a Brampton style of lacrosse, which, good or bad, depends if you're playing with them or against them, I guess, and that kind of stuff. But it was just a great honor to be taught and to be dressing in the same lacrosse room, equipment room, and that kind of stuff. And seeing these men you've watched for a few years play the game, and I want to be like, you know, those guys. And you just thought, well, here you go. And each year you get a little more knowledge in the game, more respect for the players that you played with, and more respect for the other team that you played against. Was it a rivalry? Did I get 500 minutes in penalties? That's an error. There's one digit too many in there. I'm sure it was only about 50, but you know, you gain a respect for the guy that stood up to you. And okay, you want it? Let's go for it. Win, lose, or draw. You kind of respect that. That's an older style of game that, you know, right or wrong, it was in the game. But you gained a respect a respect. There's names I'm forgetting right now, and there's one man that played for the Burrards when I played for the Salmon Bellies. Oh dear. I had a stroke back in January, so my mind every once in a while flips out. Okay, my players were telling me that for years, but so if I forget certain names from time to time, that's why. So please forgive me. And I'm sure the stories are embellished a bit, but I can't remember his name right now. But he played for the Burrards, and I was a Salmon Belly, and he and I would, I think probably every other game, if not every game, would end up getting 5 minutes each and end up in the penalty box for fighting. And I was walking down in New Westminster. He saw me, we looked at each other, eye contact, and we would normally say hi if we were at an engagement like this and out of respect. But he came across the street and shook my hand and said, "Dave, man, it's good seeing you again. It was good seeing you again." And I thought, from that moment on, I kind of thought that there's far more to this game than the rivalry. There's a respect that we have for other players. Do we like to win at the end of it all? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. But, oh, darn it, I can't remember his name. Sorry. It will come back to me. If you all start getting phone calls after midnight, you know, I got your phone number. So I'd like to congratulate the other inductees. I mean, I look at these faces on the board here, right? And I'm going, holy smokes, that Paul Del Monte. I mean, he didn't get a lot of goals, I don't think. Big goals when he did. But you want to check someone down. Let him go one-on-one. But the mental toughness I saw in him was astronomical. And it went on to prove about some of his football teams and other athletic endeavors that he did. But then I look at the kids on the board, and I'm going, they're what? And they're being inducted. Like, that is awesome. You know, like I had the privilege of coaching against and then with Kevin Brunch, right? And then Johnny Wilson, who I never had on my teams, but coached against him. And I think I was part of that era. I was part of that joy of seeing these young men, you know, rise up to what their capabilities were. And probably still are as coaches. John, don't coach, please. Where are you, John? Put your hand up. Good. Right? I've seen your temper before. It's not good on the bench. But that's true. That's true. Oh, boy. So it's just a joy in my experience to be able to coach. And in leading up to this evening, I wasn't sure if I should include the coaching aspect of my long career, as I'm realizing now, to know that I've been surrounded and blessed by athletes that are the best that they can be, in spite of me. In spite of me, right? Because in all honesty, I've done a few dumb things as a coach from time to time, right? Like in Queen's Park, getting mad at a referee. Sorry. Oops. Is he awake? No, I'm only kidding, sorry. At a referee, I'd be climbing and running along. I know I got 10 minutes coming here, right? So I'm running along the boards at Queen's Park, ranting and raving like a crazed monkey, right? And I look at that and I think about the players going, who is this crazed maniac, right? But we got through it, we lived through it. And all I remember now is all the good times, the moments that they eclipse to what their best can be, whether it's scoring their first goal or beating another team that we hadn't had the opportunity to beat before. So that reflects me back to when I played Junior A. Dean, I guess, well, Dean McLeod was on the team. That's how we weren't that good. Dean, I'm a changed man. You know, a lot of you guys know that I'm a Christian now, and I can't lie about certain things, all right? I just can't lie about those things. But, but I mean, given the opportunity to play against the Oshawa Green Gales, can you imagine 7 Middle Cups? I believe it's 7 Middle Cups they won in a row. 6 or 7 for sure. And I got to play against most of those. But to play against those men and watching what a team actually looks like, and Jim Bishop, who was just a very soft, mild, didn't say very, oh, those Eastern guys know I'm lying now, sorry. But just an amazing, you could see the level that a coach can bring out in the players. And I have a lot of gratefulness for that, thankfulness for that, in watching that example. And then I had the opportunity after graduating out of junior, going into senior lacrosse guys, and playing with great players there, men that, wow, they're just astonishing, like brothers. I'm sorry, I've lost my place, but John McCauley, Gus, as we call him, great coach. In reference to getting you pumped up for the game, wanting to play the game, be the best you can be. Wayne Thompson, who for me is one of my all-time favorite lacrosse players, with a list of a number of other people. And I can't forget my brother Bram, who was a Hall of Famer here, and he passed away not too long ago, about 4 years ago. And I just love him dearly and miss him dearly. But he was a brother in lacrosse, not just a brother that grew up with. So Bucky Kendall, that gave me the opportunity as a young kid to come in and play junior A and have all these men, you know, at 18, 19, 20, all these guys look like old men to you, right? When you're 15 years old, and then you just kind of sit and listen. And he gave me that first opportunity in junior A. And then I had and that's in Brampton. So I had the opportunity in 72 when we won the Senior B championship. But it was a group of guys that came together as one and just loved it. And it was a different game than the Senior A level. Then on to play for Morley Kells in the Pro League in 74. Well, if you want to be coached by a man who was passionate and just tells you what he's talking about, and if he didn't like the style of play you were playing, you just go to the dressing room and take a shower. But he taught you. He would come up to you and talk to you as a man. And you'd get it, you'd understand it. And had the opportunity to win that National Lacrosse League championship as a professional. Can you imagine a young kid of 5 years old thinking that one day I'm going to get paid to play lacrosse? There's guys here who have done that for probably most of their senior career. But as a young kid, never got that. And he encouraged that, and he was that breakout, transitional style of lacrosse that I have a passion for, that those young intermediates were just, you know, whipped into submission for 2 hours some nights, just getting down a transitional game. And I watched today's game, and it's a different game. Exciting, highly skilled, top-level brand of lacrosse. But the transition game just seems to have something that, you know, these guys, when they were winning, it was all transitional. Get the ball up the floor, do your stuff, right? So I'm not knocking anything. I'm just saying as time passes, the game changes and all that. And I'm very proud in the era that I got to play and coach a bit in. And then we went on to Morley Kells. Well, I think I just said Morley, didn't I? Sorry. And one of the all-time great players, in my opinion, of being a man, of being a team member, of being someone that loves the game with passion and played it to the nth degree, is Wayne Goss. Wayne, I applaud you now. When we went back to Brampton the night before, that night after the game, we beat the Burrards, and I went to work the next day, and I was sober. I did drink back then, but I was sober. And unfortunately, the job I had was taking cars off the railway cars. And we had this young English fella that kind of really enjoyed his marijuana, as he used to call it. And anyway, so I'm walking in front of the dual wheels on the back, because it was a chassis style, and it starts taking off. So I look back that way, the tires knock me down. I'm looking up like this, and it rolls over my chin, neck, and down over one of my feet. And we were going back for the Mann Cup in Brampton within a week. I don't think a lot of guys knew about that, but those guys did. And Wayne and Stevie Deesum, who I love, Stumpy, those two guys mentored me through that whole series, took me under their wings and built me up and watched if I was taking the pills and all that kind of stuff I was supposed to take. I wasn't supposed to be playing, but they encouraged me. They knew what it meant to me to play. But we played that series. We ended up beating Brampton, my hometown. It wasn't just the win. It wasn't the joy of, we were looking at pictures the other day and seeing Stumpy up in someone's arms and all that and looking up and big smiles on our face. But it was hugging my brother, Bram, after the game, knowing that we both put everything into the game and the sport that we could to honor our team and the people that have helped us grow in the game through the years. And that's a memory I'll never forget. But I thank you, Salmon Bellies. I thank you for inviting me in to your family, because my style of play was far different than the Salmon Bellies style of play. And all they needed is only one guy to break out of the zone. They had great ball control people. And so I thank them for that opportunity to win that Mann Cup, Stumpy. And so to the many other people that have contributed to my style of play, helping me grow and mature as a lacrosse player, sometimes not as a man, but as a lacrosse player, mature and do the best that I could at the time. So I thank them for that. So one of the things I like to do is honor my family that's here tonight. We don't thank our family enough. And when we're athletes and players and committed to doing the things it takes to win and to be the best we can, sometimes we forget. Sometimes we're doing the right thing, but a lot of times we forget how important they really are in our lives. So my sister here, who taught me how to shoot on a net when she was 4 or 5 years old, she was the goalie, and my brother and I would shoot on her all day, it seems, until she dropped, or we got called upstairs to stop throwing the ball at our sister. I thank her for just being I have to tell you one story about my sister. I apologize for this. I don't apologize for the story. Anyway, we're playing Oshawa Green Gills. Brampton Excelsiors, we beat them once in the 6 years that I know of. Once. And that night we did. So my sister was congratulating Bishop. I think it was kind of like a congratulations. And if you know Brampton Arena, they walk off, go through the underground to go to the dressing rooms. Well, Jim had this beautiful robin egg blue suit, kind of like your, is that blue? Yeah. suit, and she happened to just happened to have a Coke in her hand, and someone bumped her. Isn't that the story you said, March? Yeah. And it went all over Jim Bishop. And boy, he was really upset. So that's kind of the win I have against Jim Bishop in that matter. And my darling wife has given me some, Dave, hurry up. So I'm sorry for dragging this on. So in the teams I've played and the people that have supported me and guided me and the rest of it, I thank you very much. I can't say enough about you people that have done this. But in who I am now, Dave Wilfong, I have a faith in God. And I give him the glory and him the honor and thanks for being able to be here. Because who I was, when a lot of you guys knew me before I came to Christ, I was a pretty kind of guy that just drank too much and said too much. But I thank you for guiding me through those periods. But I give him all the glory and honor. And I thank you for being in my life. Everybody here, the person that I played against, the people that coached me, the people that coached against me, but most of all the fans. It was mentioned earlier, we don't thank our fans enough. I think we take them for granted. So God love you. Keep up the good work. And everybody here, put something back into the game, financially or time. God bless you all.
Fong, does that mean all that cider we ordered in is going to go to waste?